Far within the Amazon rainforest lie places never intended for humans to tread. In 1923, a rubber collection expedition discovered this truth far too late. What you are about to hear are the genuine letters of Antonio Roshia, the man commanding a 10-person outpost called Camp Verde. His writings depict something stalking the camp, a presence the local people knew as Mapinguari. The men died one by one. There were no wounds, no signs of a struggle, only death following encounters with something that should not exist. The letters survived, but Antonio did not. This is the entire chronicle of the Camp Verde catastrophe, conveyed in his own words. This is the tale of Mapinguari and what occurs when people disregard the warnings. Recife, the 12th of August 1923. My darling Elena, our voyage is done. After 3 weeks on the river, we have finally arrived at our collection point deep inside the Verde Basin. The jungle here bears no resemblance to what lies near the coast. It is thick, primeval, and older than any memory. The company has set up a modest base, 4 canvas tents, a supply shack, and a cooking area carved out of the undergrowth. I am writing this by lamplight while the others rest. Our guide, Miguel Santos, is a quiet man who has spent 3 decades in these forests. He knows each plant and every animal sound. Then there is Joan Alvarez, young, keen, and always the first to volunteer for the harder tasks. The rest of the crew, 8 men altogether, seem more than capable. The rubber trees are stunning. Some must be 200 years old, with trunks broader than the dining table we have at home. Making our quota will be simple. The work is demanding yet upright. I think of you constantly, my love. Your photograph is placed beside my bed, the last thing my eyes see before I drift off. The sounds of the forest at night are truly remarkable. Whatever monkeys cry out, night birds sing, and insects beyond counting form a symphony of nature. Miguel says the rainy season won't arrive for another month. Ideal weather. I already miss you more than I can say. Give little Maria a kiss for me. Tell her that her papa is working hard to create our future. Forever yours, Antonio. Camp Verde, the 28th of August, 1923. My beloved Elena, we've now been at this for 2 weeks, and we have found an easy rhythm. We rise at dawn, tap the trees until noon. Then the heat forces us to take a break. We resume and continue until nightfall. The men sing as they labor old Portuguese songs, newer ones from Rio. Joan has a truly lovely voice. Occasionally I join in, though you know perfectly well I can't hold a tune. The rubber is flowing smoothly. Miguel points out which trees to tap and how to make the cuts without harming them. I'm beginning to appreciate the craft involved. The latex drips into small cups that we hang from the bark. By evening, we have generally filled 30 or 40 containers. We've built a smoking hut where we turn raw latex into firm rubber balls. The smoke makes my eyes water, but it's essential for curing the material correctly. The company will definitely be pleased with what we're producing. Miguel shared stories with us around the fire last night. The locals have names for everything around here: river spirits, forest guardians, and creatures I'm convinced are just exaggerated tales about jaguars or tapirs. The men enjoy these legends because they add some interest to the routine. Still, one story has lingered in my thoughts. Miguel described a thing called Mapinguari, a towering forest being that watches over the deepest wilds. When Jan asked what it looked like, Miguel went silent and quickly changed the subject. Old beliefs cling tightly in this region. I sleep soundly despite the heat. The work exhausts me in a good way. My dreams carry me home to you and Maria's giggles. 3 more months, and I'll have saved up enough for the shop we dreamed about. Can you picture it? Our very own business. No more assignments in faraway places. With all my love, Antonio P.S. Do you recall teaching me to dance before we got married? I still can't get it right. Even when I'm all alone. Camp Verde, the 15th of September 1923. My dearest Elena. Some strange little things. I'll mention them only because they catch my attention. Last week, every parrot vanished. Miguel says it happens from time to time. The birds follow the fruit cycles. We're further into the forest now, but it's become oddly quiet during the day. Only the sounds of work and the endless buzz of insects. And the insects are dwindling too. Remember how I complained about mosquitoes in my last letter? They've almost completely disappeared. The men joke that we've finally gained the jungle's approval, Joel says. Maybe our smoke is keeping them away. The work continues beautifully, and we're actually ahead of schedule. The company supervisor won't make his visit until November, but our records show impressive progress. The rubber is of superior quality. And Miguel's skill matters more than anything. Something strange took place 3 nights ago. I woke up to absolute silence. No howlers, no nightbirds, nothing, just a stillness so deep that I could hear my own heart pounding. It lasted perhaps 10 minutes before the usual sounds slowly came back. No one else woke up. I spoke to Miguel about it the next morning. He neither laughed nor dismissed it. Instead, he gave a slow nod and murmured that sometimes the forest catches its breath. When I asked why, he said the forest has its own reasons, and we shouldn't question them. Then he walked off to inspect the trees. I might be overthinking these matters. Isolation warps the mind when endless greenery surrounds you, and only 10 other souls share the space. In such company, minor quirks take on exaggerated importance. Yesterday, I came across fresh tracks close to the supply shed, large impressions, sinking deeper than any jaguars. Miguel attributed them to tapirs. Yet they seemed off, too carefully placed, as if something had moved with caution instead of wandering. But I am genuinely well. The food is acceptable. The work holds my interest. And I am counting the days until I see you again. All my love. Antonio. P.S. Has Maria started school yet? Tell me everything in your next letter. Camp Verde, the 29th of September 1923. My dearest Elena. Miguel opened up more than usual last night. The men had been urging him to share the local legends for entertainment. He had been drinking out of character for him, and his restraint faded. The Mapinguari, he said, is far from a myth. His grandfather had encountered one in 1867, far upstream from here, and Miguel described it in a way he never had before. The thing was immense, standing erect like a man but far stockier. Its body sheathed in what resembled bark, or a hide so tough no blade could cut through, and in the center of its face, where no eye should exist, sat a single eye. Duam laughed and wondered where the other eye might be. Miguel did not laugh back. Miguel said there is no other eye, only that one, forever unblinking, watching all in the mouth. He grew quiet here. That mouth, he explained, opens backward into the body's cavity, unlike ours, which face forward. The men fell silent. Something had altered in Miguel's voice. He was no longer spinning a yarn for the men's amusement. He was either recalling a memory or offering a warning. I couldn't tell which. Then he said, "The smell comes first. It was always about the smell. rotting meat, and a metallic tang, like blood left out too long in the heat. That odor would circle the camp, probing, gathering knowledge. It is not carried by the wind, for it does not drift aimlessly. It moves with purpose. After saying that, Miguel rose and stepped into the darkness beyond our firelight. We did not see him again until morning. He refuses to talk about it now. When John pressed him with questions today, Miguel told him to mind the work and let old matters rest. I don't believe in monsters, Elena, as you know. I am a grounded man. Yet I have noticed that Miguel now keeps his machete with him, even inside camp. He has also told us to keep the fires burning higher at night, claiming it's for the jaguars, though his expression says otherwise. The wildlife has vanished. No deer, no peccary, no capybara by the river. Even the fish have become scarce. 2 days ago, Jerome shot at what he believed to be a tapir, but it vanished into the thicket with no sound at all. There was no trail of blood, no hint that the bullet had connected. You are in my thoughts constantly. Your letters have not arrived yet, and the supply boat is only expected in another week. I see you reading this in our kitchen, with Maria playing at your feet. Hold that picture for me. I need it. Always yours, Antonio. Camp Verde, the 8th of October 1923. My dearest Elena, I need to recount last night to you, though I struggle to put it into words without sounding mad. You may believe the isolation has clouded my thinking. Perhaps it truly has. The smell came at dusk. Every detail Miguel had warned us about proved true. The rot, the metallic edge, the way it did not drift, but moved with intent. For 3 hours, it circled our camp, keeping an even distance, showing itself from every side at varying times, not straying, never losing track of us. We kept the flames high. All 10 of us remained awake, gripping rifles and machetes. Miguel stood at the middle of camp, motionless, listening hard. When Juan asked what we should do, Miguel said nothing. Wait, he told us. Don't approach. Don't investigate. Around midnight, I heard it heavy, measured, breathing. So controlled, it was as if someone was counting out the seconds between breaths. Far too slow for any animal. No animal breathes with that much discipline. The sound came from the edge of the woods, about 20 meters off, hidden amid the vegetation. Joel raised his rifle, but Miguel caught his arm and shook his head. We waited. The breathing carried on in. Pause. Out. Pause, steady and patient. In all my life, I have never heard anything announce its presence so deliberately. Then, abruptly, it stopped. The smell faded. The forest stayed hushed until daylight. Not a single thing emerged. All of us eventually fell asleep. This morning, we found the vegetation pushed outward in a circle around the camp. It seemed as though something enormous had stood in several spots, always turned inward, always watching. The plants had not been broken. They had been pressed down by massive weight and then released. Whatever had made these marks moved through without snapping a single branch. I'm putting these words down in the middle of the day. Miguel has insisted we stay in pairs at all times now. No one works alone, and he's set up a schedule for guarding the camp tonight. The men are scared. Even though they mask it with laughter and bold talk, I have no idea what came to us, and I prefer not to find out. Yet now I see why Miguel keeps his machete close and why he keeps the flames so tall. There are safeguards we must take, even if we can't completely grasp the danger. 3 months feels far too long all of a sudden, and I miss you more than I can express. Always yours, Antonio P.S. If reading these letters causes you concern, I ask your pardon. I had to share the truth with someone. Camp Verde, the 19th of October, 1923. Dearest Elena, I mentioned in my previous note that we had set up lookout shifts, but that arrangement only held for 5 nights. Now I must tell you about Carlos Mendez, though I will leave out the most distressing parts. Carlos was on guard duty at midnight on October 15th, and at first light we discovered him some 30 meters from camp, sitting upright against a trunk. His rifle rested across his legs, never fired. His eyes were open, gazing at emptiness. There were no wounds on him, no traces of an attack or any struggle. Miguel went over him thoroughly. No injuries, no signs of poisoning, nothing to suggest a snake or spider bite. Carlos simply ceased to be alive at some point during his shift, as though he sat down to take a break and never rose. What disturbs me more than anything is his expression, neither fear nor agony, only a blankness, as if some essential part of him had been taken away. A physician back in Manaus would label it heart failure. But Miguel used a different word. He spoke a term in the native language that I couldn't understand. When I asked him to explain, he simply replied that Carlos had stared straight at something he was never meant to look upon. That afternoon we laid him to rest, with Father Sebastian, a member of our group, leading the prayers. Not a single man spoke. We all knew this was no sickness and no mishap. This was the presence that prowled around our campsite, the same presence that drew breath with such dreadful deliberation. That night, the odor came back, more powerful than before. It lingered until sunrise, shifting without pause, never coming nearer than 20 meters. Once more, we caught the sound of breathing, that unhurried, steady tempo. But now there were gaps between breaths, as though it was pausing to listen, taking note of our habits. Jam raised his rifle and fired 3 rounds into the darkest point where the scent was most intense. The shots struck something we could hear the impact. The hits were heavy and firm, as if they'd landed on a solid wall. Yet there was no shout, no retreat, no shift in the rhythm of its breathing. After the gunfire, only silence. Then the breath began again, precisely as before. The thing that was struck neither bled, nor ran, nor responded. It merely took the bullets and carried on observing us. Miguel has ordered that no one fire their weapon anymore. He argues that bullets are a waste of ammunition and only show how terrified we are. The creature is already aware of our fear. It can detect our terror just as we detect its arrival by that stench of decaying flesh and metal that signals it's close. Our numbers have fallen to 9. The boat carrying provisions was supposed to arrive 3 days back, but it's still missing. I remain yours, Antonio. Camp Verde, the 27th of October, 1923. My beloved Elena, Miguel has disappeared. Not dead, just gone. He left a short message saying he was heading downstream to look for the supply boat. That was 4 days ago. He took only his machete and a canteen. No provisions, no blanket, no gun. A man who has spent 30 years in the jungle wouldn't simply overlook those essentials. My belief is that he fled, and I can't fault him for it. Whatever lurks out there has altered its pattern. It now appears sooner and lingers longer. The odor arrives before dusk and hangs around until late morning. We exist within its presence at all times. Father Sebastian attempted to bless the edges of our camp by walking the entire boundary while praying, holding his prayer book. He recited verses in Latin and scattered drops of blessed water. I watched from the opening of my tent. The instant he closed the circle, the sound of breathing began loud, near, coming from all sides simultaneously. It seemed as though multiple creatures had encircled us, each taking breaths in flawless unison. Sebastian let the book fall and dashed back to the campfire. Now he refuses to talk. He stays seated with his rosary, mouth moving without a sound, gaze locked on the boundary of the woods. Yesterday, 3 more men departed. They grabbed a canoe and claimed they would sooner face the river than spend one more night in this place. Around midnight, we heard their cries far away downstream, followed by nothing but stillness. At daybreak, the canoe floated back to camp, vacant and untouched. That leaves 6 of us. Jan, me, Father Sebastian, and the other 3, Paulo, Renato, and young Tomas, who only recently turned 19. All our labors have been set aside. The rubber trees remain untouched, and the smoking shed has gone cold. Our days are spent collecting firewood. Our nights are spent keeping the fire fed. Rest arrives only in short stretches, never deep, and always with our ears open. That presence is showing us our place as prey, not through acts of aggression, but through its very being, through a patient and unyielding presence. Last night, I finally caught sight of it, only a piece, a fleeting image among the trees when lightning split the sky. There was the eye, just as Miguel had described, a single massive eye in the center, reflecting light like a cat's, but with a color that felt unnatural. It shifted between yellow and green, never blinking, locked onto our camp with complete focus. Then beneath it, I saw the mouth, a vertical gash, deep, set oddly back into the body. After the next flash, it had vanished. Yet I am certain I glimpsed it. I am writing now by daylight, Elena, for nighttime writing is no longer possible, not since I saw my mirrored self in the lamp glass yesterday evening. Then the awareness came that something stood right behind me, just outside the circle of light, inhaling and exhaling in perfect time with my own breathing. Spinning around, I found nothing, yet that scent was unbearable. Yours truly, Antonio. P.S. Tell Maria her father loves her. She must be certain of it. Camp Verde, 2 November 1923. My beloved Elena. Paulo passed away today, not by the creature in the forest, but through sheer fright. At midday, under the bright sun, while we collected firewood, he fled wailing into the jungle. Joe and I gave chase, but pure terror made him swifter. We heard him thrashing through the brush, then nothing. We hunted for him 3 hours, shouting his name. No answer, no corpse, no blood, only his boot, upright on the path, as though he had slipped out of it while running and never paused. Our group is now 4. The creature appears more frequently, never whole. It never reveals itself entirely, but fragments are visible, a colossal torso wrapped in that skin resembling bark, an arm as thick as a tree trunk, finishing in unnaturally elongated fingers. It hovers on the periphery, always retreating before the eye can fix on it. It is giving us a lesson. Joel understands now as well. This is not a hunt, it is a display. It is making clear how powerless we are, how useless our guns are, how distance is not real. It allows us to exist. Yesterday, in full daylight, it stood 3 meters from camp. All of us took in its mass, its unthinkable magnitude, Renato unleashed every round in his rifle at it, 6 bullets into the middle of its body. We watched the bullets strike its hide and leave marks. The creature stayed calm, unmoving, letting itself be shot, demonstrating that ammunition meant nothing. Then it turned and ambled off without haste, without fear. It decided to depart, gliding through the woods with a peculiar, deliberate elegance, pushing plants aside instead of snapping them. The odor remains constantly now. It lingers in our meals and clings to our flesh. It fills the camp, the tents, and each breath we draw. Father Sebastio attempted suicide this morning, but Tomas caught him, grabbing away the blade. Sebastio murmured again and again, "It doesn't want us dead. It wants us to witness." I cannot grasp his meaning. The supply boat is never arriving. That much is obvious to me now. Either it never departed Manaus, or it suffered the same end as our canoe. We are wholly isolated, abandoned by the outside world. Maria is always in my thoughts. Does she wonder where her father has gone? Please tell her I am laboring hard and that I will bring her something beautiful when I return. Spare her the truth, with both love and dread. Antonio, Camp Verde, 9 November 1923. My dearest Elena, I need to tell you about Renato's fate, so you realize why departure is impossible, why fleeing is pointless, why we remain caged here. A canoe sat in the river less than 50 meters off, and 2 nights ago, Renato still attempted to flee. He waited for us to sleep, seized the last remaining boat, and set out without a sound. The noise of paddling woke me. I hurried to the riverbank with Joel and Tomas, yelling for him to turn back. Yet he had already swept 20 meters downstream, rowing wildly. All at once, the stench grew so overpowering we struggled to inhale. The creature stepped out of the forest at our backs. I mean, truly stepped out. No mere glimpse. It was entirely visible under the moon, 4 meters tall, wider than any bull, and sheathed fully in that heavy bark-like skin. It aimed an unchanging eye, one, singular at the river. Its reversed mouth parted just a bit, exposing a cavern that no living form should hold. It passed beside us and entered the water, unhurried and intent. The current rose only to its waist. For something so enormous, it moved downriver with unthinkable swiftness, slicing through a current strong enough to flatten a man. Renato spotted it approaching. We listened to his cries, to the frantic strokes of his paddle. In moments, it overtook him. There was no strike. It merely raised the canoe completely clear of the river, Renato still inside, and suspended it at the creature's eye level. His screams ceased. From our distance, we could not comprehend what Renato witnessed as he stared into that one eye from inches away. Yet the silence that followed was unmistakable. The creature returned the canoe gently to the water, turned, and waded toward the bank. An hour later, the boat floated back to camp. Renato remained in it, sitting straight, his paddle resting over his knees, his eyes wide gone, unmarked, exactly as Carlos had been. The creature stayed at the wood's edge until sunrise, observing us, ensuring the lesson took hold. The river offers no way out. The forest offers no way out. There is none whatsoever. Only 3 of us remain. Jam no longer says a word. Tomas prays alongside Father Sebastio, though Sebastio's own prayers are losing all sense pure gibberish. Syllables strung together without meaning. I record this only so you will know. I made an effort. I attempted courage. I attempted endurance. Yet the creature refuses to grant us a swift death. It claims us one at a time, delivering something to each man to learn before the end. What lesson lies in store for me? I cannot guess. The odor is most intense around my tent now. I am its next selection. Forever yours, Antonio, Camp Verde, 15 November 1923. My darling Elena, Tomas disappeared into the forest this morning. Father Sebastio went after him. Not one of them returned. We returned and made no attempt to track them down. Instead, Juo and I remained by the fire, waiting. Their cries drifted to us near midday before falling silent. Only two of us are left now, Joe and me. Last night, the creature didn't stay at the forest's edge. It entered our camp. I awoke to see it looming beside my bed, lit by the fading embers. 4 meters of unnatural flesh stood there, and that single eye regarded me with something I can only call patience. My body refused to move, my throat refused to scream, and my breath came with great difficulty. Then the inverted mouth parted slowly, exposing an interior that was darker than darkness and deeper than any physical space should allow. I peered into it, Elena, and I witnessed what dwelled in that abyss. After that, it lowered one enormous hand, its fingers stretching outward until they made contact with my chest. There was no force, no aggression, only a simple touch. From that point, a chill radiated through me, and I sensed that I was being weighed, or sampled, or comprehended. Then it pulled away and exited the tent. I could hear it making its way across the camp, heading toward Joel's shelter. Joel let out a whimper, and then all went quiet. When I finally mustered the courage to check on him, Joan lay unconscious but still breathing. The creature had touched him as well. We are now marked not destined to die, but selected for something far different. The creature intends for us to look at it without reserve, to grasp its nature entirely, to recognize what awaits us before the final moment. I'm penning this at daybreak. Jam remains unconscious. That odor, it envelops everything. My hands tremble so violently that I can scarcely grip the pen. Should these letters ever reach you, understand that I loved you right up until the very end. Know that even as fear tried to take over every thought, my mind stayed with you and Maria. You served as my beacon in this shadow. The sound of breathing is near now, nearer than it has ever been. It waits just outside the tent. Always yours, Antonio. Camp Verde, the 21st of November 1923. My beloved Elena, Gro passed away 4 days ago. He regained consciousness, but was transformed. His eyes empty, his breath faint. He refused food, refused water, and gave no reaction when called by name. He spent his time by the dead fire pit, gazing into the tree line. On the 3rd day, his heart just ceased. I laid him to rest alongside the others. Now there are 6 graves, each marked by a cross fashioned from tent poles. Father Sebastian, Carlos, Renato, Paulo, Tomas, and Guang. I said a few words over every grave, even though I doubt God can hear any prayer from this place. Now I'm completely by myself, with no one else around. The creature recognizes this and has altered its behavior once more. It no longer circles the camp. Instead, it remains at the perimeter, openly visible, watching me around the clock. Never gone. That eye never shuts. The inverted mouth opens and closes in a slow, steady rhythm reminiscent of breathing, yet somehow unnatural. I no longer tend to the fire. There's no reason to. The creature appears, whether it's day or night. Neither flame, nor belief, nor gunfire can drive it off. It isn't a wild beast that can be scared away. It's something completely different. A being that reasons, that strategizes, that instructs. Now I grasp what Miguel's tales meant. The Mapinguari is no mere myth. It serves as an observer, a protector of territories where humans don't belong, and an enforcer who punishes those who venture too far into the wild. Our very presence here was an offense arriving, tapping into these ancient trees and setting up camp on land that predates any human recollection. That odor now feels ordinary, and I barely register it. It has saturated my clothes, my skin, even my hair, and I can taste it all the time. I've become absorbed into its being. Last night, I attempted to escape, but not via the river or the jungle. Since I know those routes are blocked, I just headed straight for it, toward the being that stood at the boundary of the forest, determined to view it completely and learn what it desired from me. It permitted me to come within 2 meters close enough to observe the texture of its skin. Its surface was neither bark nor fur, but resembled scar tissue that had thickened and hardened over countless years. At that distance, I could see the eye never blinks, because no eyelid exists. I could also peer into the inverted mouth, a cavity that seems to expand infinitely inward. I stared into that abyss, Elena. Within that darkness, I perceived motion shapes shifting in a way that defied logic. The mouth serves as a gateway to another realm, a place that should never be linked to our own. Then the creature extended a hand toward me, and I believed death had arrived. Instead, it merely pressed a single huge finger softly against my forehead. A wave of cold passed through me. What I witnessed, I lack the language to convey it. There simply are no words. Yet now I comprehend. This being is ancient beyond any calculation. It recalls the forest in its earliest days. It remembers a time before humans sailed the seas, before any cities existed, before civilization itself. Its purpose is to observe, to recall, to keep things as they are. And we disrupted that. Yours, Antonio, Camp Verde, the 25th of November 1923. My darling Elena. The creature returned to my tent once more last night. This occasion was different. It did more than touch me. With no apparent effort, it raised me as though I were a small child and transported me into the woods. I was unable to fight, unable to scream. My body no longer responded to my commands. Together, we journeyed far into the jungle, into regions that appear on no map. Despite its massive frame, the creature advanced without a sound. Each footfall placed with extraordinary precision, the vegetation parted ahead of it and sealed itself once we passed. Eventually, we came to a clearing unfamiliar to me. Towering rubber trees encircled it, trees likely 5 centuries old or older, far larger than any we had ever tapped. Scattered across the earth lay bones, hundreds of them, human remains stripped of flesh and laid out in designs I could not decode. The creature lowered me carefully into the middle of that circle of bones, then stepped back to observe. I realized this was its domain, its hallowed space. Each bone was a person who had trespassed, who had wandered too far, who had disregarded every warning. Fear should have consumed me. Yet a strange serenity took hold instead. What it revealed was not death itself, but the outcome of my actions. In its sole way of communicating, it was making clear why my life was ending. Before daybreak, it carried me back to camp, set me down beside the cold fire ring, and returned to its watchful place at the forest's edge. It never stopped watching, never stopped waiting. Now I understand what it waits for my full comprehension, my complete surrender, before the final claiming. Death alone is not enough. I must first achieve understanding. Your photograph stays before me at all times. The warmth of your smile, alongside Maria's tiny face, lends me strength. Yet I will never see her grow, never watch her blossom into a woman, never walk her down the aisle, never meet the grandchildren that might have been. That being may have robbed me of my tomorrows, but my love for you remains untouched. It belongs to me until my last breath. Forever yours, Antonio, Camp Verde, the 29th of November, 1923. My beloved Elena. If these letters ever reach you, burn them. Do not let Maria read them. Let no one learn what transpired here. Say I died of fever or some accident, anything except the truth. This creature is teaching me to see it. Each night, my eyes change. I can perceive more of it now. Not merely its physical shape, but a deeper presence beneath or beyond. It exists across multiple spaces at once. What I observe is only the fragment that enters our world. Its reversed mouth serves as a gateway. That hollow cavity opens into the true space it inhabits. Whenever it chooses, it can draw things through that opening into the elsewhere, where bones are stripped and arranged with care. Last night, I saw it feed not on flesh, but on something else, perhaps on fear, on the very essence of a sanctuary violated. It stretched its mouth wide, and the air itself seemed to pour inward, vanishing into that impossible depth. I felt a pull upon something within me, not my body, but something essential, something alive. The being was tasting me, sampling my essence, judging which parts to consume and which to leave behind. When it finished, it shut its mouth and pulled away. I collapsed, feeling more drained than ever before, barely able to crawl back to my tent. I am dying, Elena, not from violence, but from proximity. The creature's presence is a poison to human life. We were never meant to dwell this close for this long. It is unmaking me bit by bit, separating the threads that hold me together. My hands have lost feeling. My eyesight grows uncertain. I cannot recall what I ate yesterday, or if I ate at all. Time has become strange. Hours race by like minutes, while minutes stretch into days. But you remain perfectly clear to me. Your face stays vivid. Your voice rings true. I cling to that clarity, while everything else fades. Do not come looking for me. Do not send anyone to rescue me. This ground is cursed now, marked by the Mapinguari. Whoever enters will join the bones in that clearing. I love you. I love Maria. That truth survives when nothing else remains. You are Antonio. Camp Verde, the 3rd of December 1923. My dearest Elena, this will be my last letter. I feel the final unraveling approaching. My body is starting to fail. When I look at my hands, they seem almost transparent, as if I'm becoming a ghost before death. The creature stood beside me all day today. Not threatening, not touching, simply present, keeping vigil. I realize now that it holds no cruelty. Cruelty requires malice. This is pure nature, ancient nature, born before humanity claimed power over the earth. We were the intruders. We were the transgression. The being is merely restoring balance, clearing away contamination from sacred ground. I feel no hatred toward it. I have accepted whatever comes next. That acceptance grants a peace I never anticipated. fear has washed away, leaving only love behind. That love is for you, for Maria, for the life we built together. The creature cannot reach it. It lives in a place beyond its power. If they find my body, should they ever find it, tell them I was at peace at the end. Tell them I died thinking of my family. Both words will be true. I wish I could hold you once more. Press a kiss to Maria's forehead. Sit with you in our kitchen drinking coffee. As morning light fills the room. Simple moments I never appreciated enough. The stench is overwhelming now. I hear its breathing right beside me. The creature is ready. I am ready too. Remember me with joy, not sorrow. I lived a good life. I loved deeply. Many men never know such happiness. I thank you for every moment we shared. Thank you for Maria. Thank you for choosing me. That eye is upon me now, looking through me, seeing everything I am. It holds a terrible beauty, forever and always. You are Antonio. With all my love, I love you. I love Camp Verde. The 8th of December, 1923. My dearest Elena, the forest lies quiet today, peaceful. The smell has faded. I can breathe freely for the first time in weeks. Maybe the worst has passed. Perhaps that presence has moved on to other lands and other worries. I am building my strength back up. Come morning, I will start the trip downstream. The canoe is still in working shape, and the river's current will carry me most of the way. In maybe 2 weeks, or 3 at most, I will be home again. I can already picture your face and hear Maria's laughter ringing in my ears. We will sit close together while I tell you stories, skipping over the terrifying moments, of course. There is no need for you to fear the note that was attached to my final letter, written in a different hand. On January 14th, these letters were recovered from Antonio Roshia's body. In 1924, a company search party came across the deceased, sitting upright against a tree at the edge of camp. There were no visible injuries and no indications of a scuffle. The letters, tucked in his shirt pocket, were damp and stained, but still readable. The last letter above was cut short. The handwriting stops in the middle of a thought, and analysis indicates it was produced during severe delirium or fever. No trace of Miguel Santos, Jam Alvarez, or anyone else from the crew was ever found. The camp showed clear signs that it had been deserted and had started to decay. All the equipment remained untouched, with no hint of animal damage or any violent act. The investigating officer noticed a strange, lasting smell across the entire location, something like rotting plant matter, combined with metallic notes. He could not identify where it came from. By order of the company, the collection site in the Verde Basin has been shut down for good, and the area is now restricted. May God show mercy to their souls. This report was submitted by Inspector Paulo Cardardoso from the Office of Public Records in Manau.